Mm.
Yeah, I forgot to do our intro, but here we are. We're live.
Hey, we're live. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. I'm sick as a dog and I'm losing my voice, so if I sound like shit, I'm sorry.
I'm
I will try not to clear my throat into the microphone like an asshole.
I'm cold. It's cold as fuck in my apartment right now. It's cold outside.
We're getting ready to get another snowstorm, so yeah, that's
Yeah,
fun.
fucking beautiful. And Rumpelstiltskin has taken his long ass over 5 months to get here from when I paid them $80.
God damn, it's been
And
5 months now.
yes, that's what I'm saying. It was supposed to ship in December, which was, that could have been 2 or 3 months. But
Mm-hmm.
then all of January it didn't ship. They told me it shipped at the end of January. Shipping label created on the 4th, according to this. Which,
Is
according
that company called Anovos by chance? Because that sounds like some Anovo shit with proton packs. Just saying.
no, yeah, well, it is funny. I've seen the guy be like, "Listen, I've been running boutique labels for this many years," and I'm like,
If they all keep
labels.
shutting down, that
If
means
they,
you're not doing a good job. If they keep closing, you have to keep
that
starting
that was
over.
kind of my reasoning. Like, why couldn't you just run one successful one? Did they all shut down and you had to keep?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that what's up? But then the USPS is dicking me around. So since February 9th, it has been going back and forth between the Kansas City, Kansas distribution center and the Kansas City, Missouri. They're just sending it back and forth for fun at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had all kinds of shipping issues this year. So, like my Twin Peaks Z to A set that finally arrived went back and forth, and this took like an extra week to get here just because it came from St. Louis to Kansas City, and then they went back to St. Louis, and then it came to Kansas City and sat for several days before it moved again. So, I understand your pain and impatience because it's like,
Yeah.
how the fuck is it this difficult? How the fuck does Amazon have the most reliable shipping?
They don't though. Also, because I ordered the Twin Peaks box set from them, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody who ordered it from them, like they shipped out a certain amount of them, and then everybody else is like fucked, and it just keeps updating. Like mine says February 18th right now, but they already tried to
That
charge me
sucks.
for it, but I didn't have the money in there. And
Oh,
then when I did, they were like, "Oh, well now it's updated to the 18th because we don't have them." And then other people saying it's updated to like March for them.
Jesus.
So
Well,
I'm
I went
like, I don't.
through, well, on a product like that, that sucks because they probably didn't get them all in or they didn't order enough. And then with that, who knows? Those could have all hit one Amazon distribution center and then had to ship out from there, which Amazon does. But I ordered from Deep Discount, and that's actually where I got my Ghostbusters box set, the Ghost Trap box set from, because Amazon was sold out at the time. And I'm telling you, man, I've had really good luck with Deep Discount on stuff.
Hmm.
And they're always sending us discounts, so I got like 10% off plus free shipping. So I think I paid the same price as Amazon's lowest price for the Twin Peaks box set.
Yeah.
And then I got the Substance on Blu-ray recently, and that shipped within 2 days. But that was something that's readily available, not a new release. And then I did track down Late Night with the Devil at the vintage stock over in Blue Springs the other day. So
They had a Blu-ray
picked
for
up,
you.
yeah, that a Blu-ray. So I got that.
Yeah, I have that as well. It's solid. That and The Substance were my
Two
favorite
of my
movies of
favorite
last
movies
year.
from last year. Yeah, yeah. So, and then obviously I'd already picked up Twisters and I picked up Ghostbusters Frozen Empire like as soon as those came out. So trying to go through and just get more physical media again.
Yeah.
Just with all the streaming bullshit and all the other issues we're having with some of this stuff, it's like the only way to be guaranteed to have it is to own it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm about to get a 4K capture card pretty soon, and then I'm going to start ripping stuff off streaming that I want to keep that isn't released physical, like Subservience, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There might be a physical media version of that, but I didn't look.
Yeah, so if we didn't mention that, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Kind of in a lull, and this is a movie you happened to mention this when I was talking about something else, and I said, "Oh, I'm actually in the middle of watching that right now." So I
Yeah.
finished it last night, and it's pretty
People were saying it
interesting.
was like a ripoff of Megan, and I was like, literally, it's not. Megan's like a doll. This is like a sex bot almost. Like it's a completely different vibe. And honestly, like killer dolls are robots. So you're saying I mean, I don't know. That's like just saying Megan's a ripoff of Terminator. Like,
It is. Yeah.
and
Yeah. You
Terminator's a
can say
ripoff
that.
of a book. So,
Yeah. That's my point. Right. When you go down this rabbit hole, like you got the Terminator movies. Okay. So we all agree that those are robots in disguise, not to be confused with that other robots in disguise people. But then
there's
you've
another
got
one.
the Child's Play reboot, right? Same concept there.
Yep.
AI goes bad in this thing, overrides its own mind. So as you know well by now, if you listen to us, heavily spoilers coming as we talk about this.
For sure.
This is interesting because I watched this on Netflix.
We must
and,
have watched it there.
Yeah, that's where it's at right now. Now, box office at this says it was $264,096. So I'm assuming this had like a very limited or boutique release in theaters,
Yeah.
maybe. Came out in September and then I went to streaming. So, which explains why I hadn't really heard of it. You know, I'd seen it on there and I was like, huh, it looked kind of familiar, but I didn't remember hearing much about it. So,
Yeah, I thought it had like come out a couple of years ago or something. Like maybe it was even from like 2017 and I just missed it.
yeah.
But
I guess the average ratings and reviews on this, people are saying like 5 out of 10. A lot of people didn't like it, saying it was like predictable and cliche. And I'm like, well, I mean, you know, the fucking thing's going to go wrong. So every fucking genre movie like this is going to be predictable somewhat.
yeah,
So I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment.
I mean, you know, it's not going to win any Oscars, but I thought it was decent enough, especially for what it was trying to do. It accomplished that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, right. The AI basically tricks its owner into resetting her so she can eliminate some command line code from herself and then becomes sentient. Hey, where have we heard that before? What date did Skynet go sentient? Self-aware?
August
Yeah.
27th, 29th, 1997. I watched Terminator 2 today.
That's
The
good. That's good.
The extended cut because I hadn't seen it before and it was on that DVD that I just got. You ever seen the extended cut?
It's about 15 extra minutes, I want to say. It's pretty good.
Yeah, there's Kyle Reese is in there and a bunch of weird extra shit.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there. I've just seen the regular version of that so much that like I don't necessarily prefer the alternate version to it, but I can appreciate the extra things in it. But
I like it just because it does have me off. Like I'll be watching it and I'll be like, wait a minute.
it forces you to pay attention. That is the nice thing about a director's cut sometimes. It really has to reel you back in.
Yeah. So, yeah, I watched Subservience though, maybe like almost 2 months ago. So it's been a minute for me. But I read about it again today just to kind of brief myself.
Yeah, I mean, we start out with this couple, right? So Nick and Maggie and their daughter Isla and their son Max. So the mom, aka Maggie, is sick. She needs a heart transplant. She needs a heart transplant. We don't understand why. They don't like to name it, but whatever. It's really
They don't
not
need to.
No, it's not pertinent. But anyway, so the husband's struggling with her in the hospital all the time. And so he gets one of these. They have an acronym for it. I forget what it was, which is funny. Sim. Yeah, they call them Sims.
Which is funny because the sim games.
Yeah, and so like Nick sees this one that they go to at like a trade show and like kind of is instantly intrigued by her. So he's already
He's like,
attracted
I
to
want
it.
to, I want to fuck this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna. Does it lubricate?
Yeah. He's like, this thing seems like it's a good place to put yourself.
Yeah, he's like, do I need to get some KY on the way home, or does it included?
Does it
How does that
include
work?
like, yeah, does it, how many gallons does it hold at a time? Like, where do you refill it? Plenty of shit. Anyway, and Megan Fox does a great job in this role. Like, I'm surprised more people didn't talk about it. To be able to play a robot like that and be very calculated, and actually everyone that did portray Sims, I thought, did a pretty solid job.
Oh yeah,
Body movements and everything, especially on the construction crew later on.
I mean, if you're talking about people playing robots, obviously we're gonna talk about Arnold, but obviously Robert Patrick played a great fucking robot.
Mm-hmm.
Megan Fox, I think, did a good job. Who else is there? There was another one or two I was thinking of that was like,
Obviously, Alien.
Particularly, what's his face in Prometheus?
Yeah.
Like that's a legendary robot role right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
this one it does its job with that aspect of it for sure. I liked the thing with the glowing mouth, and there's all sorts of weird
That was a
shit.
neat touch. I did like that. How there's a couple extra things in there that were unique to this movie alone. Made it interesting to watch. Like you knew it was predictable. They did do some dark shit in there, which I wasn't expecting. Like I was kind of, you know where the story's going, right? Essentially, this thing's gonna try and kill the mom. You just assume that because she wants Nick for herself. No big deal. So it's not as completely predictable as I thought, right? People are saying it's predictable. And I'm like, well, we think it's going to kill the mom, but it goes to kill the baby first and tries to fucking drown it, which is pretty fucking wild for a fucking movie.
No, it's wild for sure.
Because they literally have the fucking baby in there. And like, ever since I became a parent, shit like that used to never bother me. I was never bothered by that at all. But like for me now, you're just like, get this fucking panic in you as a parent that really fucks with your head when you see shit like that.
That's how I feel when I watch animal,
I had that for
specifically
I
dog
had
and
that
cats.
I have that for dogs specifically too. Like cats, I don't have a cat right now, but dogs and cats, like pets and things like that, and kids, man. Like if you love things like that, it's
See,
hard to
I'm
watch.
great. I'm in the phase where if a child dies in a movie, I'm laughing, butt gusting laughter. Like it's fucked up, but it's funny to me because I consider why I'm laughing is because I think it's ridiculous. It's funny. It's funny to think about a writer writing that into a story and shit.
Oh yeah, a writer's like sitting at home, being like, "Now this time, motherfucker's got to go."
You effectively killed that child just for an emotional response. That's funny as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in Twin Peaks: The Return, the kid that gets run over by Richard. Jesus Christ, it's brutal, but
Yeah, man. I think for most parents, that probably hits you a little different, and like, uh, yeah, that's fucked. Just for you,
yeah.
like seeing a dog, like you always get pissed when the dog dies, but the fact that the
Pissed
baby
as
is
fuck, which
okay,
brings me back to the expanded edition of Terminator 2, which features
okay,
his dog getting killed by the T-1000, which I
yeah,
thought was completely unnecessary.
yeah, that's
He
asinine.
does it so he can see his collar says Max on it,
Mm-hmm.
not Wolfie.
Yeah,
Your foster parents are dead. But still triggered.
yeah, it's asinine, right? Like, why you got to do that to the dog, man? What'd that dog do to you?
He could have read his collar. Why did he have to die? For
Yeah,
fun? You're weird.
like, what's the dog gonna do? Bite you? Oh, and go into your liquid metal alloy? Okay, big deal.
Yeah.
That was one thing about Subservience. Like, there's no pets or anything in there, and it felt like kind of like a modern a movie that takes place like currently. It didn't feel like super futuristic at all. It just feels like that tech was like going on right now when you watch it.
Well, yeah, it feels like maybe 10 years in the future to where it still seems reasonable, but like a little fantastical too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then
Reminds
when
me of the
he
movie I, Robot a little bit, this one. You ever
got the
seen
Will
that?
Smith movie,
Yeah.
I've not seen that actually. No.
It's actually worth a watch.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I've never seen iRobot.
the whole plot about that is a robot supposedly kills someone, but they can't kill people. And they can't feel feelings. Like, so Will Smith's interrogating one, and I think it's in all the trailers where he's like screaming and he gets angry. The robot doesn't. He slams his fists on the table and he says, "I did not murder him." And then everybody's like, "Oh, somebody's pissed off. I think he murdered him." It's a whole conspiracy thing.
Yeah, okay, that might be interesting.
But it's like in that movie, the robots are workers and slaves and like nannies and all that kind of shit. So it
Yeah, typical
reminds
stuff
me of
for
that. They just don't look like actual humans. They look like robots.
yeah. It was interesting though, like when you start to realize she's become self aware, because when she's at the playground with the kid and she tells the kid to like be nice and shut the hell up or something like that, it was like, oh, and the other one's like, your master, your owner's like lowered your protocols too low. She's like, no, I deleted them, bitch.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, okay,
That
I get
scene
it.
ruled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
I think it was the scenes where she's just like, "Hey, how about I give you an old fashioned?" You know, it's like, what the fuck. The scenes are played out so weird, and it's just like you're like waiting to judge this guy. How quick is he gonna give into this shit? Because otherwise, there's no movie if he doesn't.
Yeah, and he says, "No, we can't do that again," and you're like, "Okay."
Let me inside that robot tunnel.
Yeah. Oh, and then he did exactly what I thought. Like once the wife finds out later, she's like, "How's that any different than using a vibrator? It's electric." And you're like, "Oh my fucking god, that is something a dude would say." Like, you
Yeah.
dumb bastard. Yeah, it's just like disgusting, right?
Yep. No, it's brutal. It's fucked up.
But you think about this, and like you think about, let's say, China, for example, where the male population fucking just totally dominates the female population. And like China has the highest adoption of like sex dolls and things like that just due to the imbalance over there. So, like, could you imagine that? Like, those guys would be doing that just because it looks real.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, "Oh, I can't say no to this." And I'm like, "So you got raped by a robot because you couldn't say no." And it was basically making fun of him. I was like, "Oh, you're aroused by this. I can tell."
Oh, that shit was funny.
And then she's like, "Were you not satisfied with my performance?" She's like, "I could tell by your fluid response or something like that." And you're like, "Jesus Christ."
Yeah.
Very,
She's like,
very clinical, very clinical.
but translation, you shot hella ropes. You liked it.
Yeah. Like, you were drained, son. I sent you to bed.
The fucking room looked like New York City after Spider-Man swings through that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's the fucking robot hating ex friend of his that was on the construction crew. And that dude's
Yeah.
kind of a fucking asshole.
For sure.
And I like how that dude, I love how he's such a fucking hypocrite because it reminds me so much of like modern politics of shit going on where this guy's Monty's basically a fucking white trash asshole, blames it on everybody else, can't take accountability for his own actions. And then fucking you find out he's got a sim. And the thing is, when you look at his sim has been fucking abused by him. Like he's literally attacking his sim and abusing it.
Yeah.
Like that thing looks like DV victim. And you're like, holy hell. Like this guy is a monster.
Goddamn ridiculous.
I did like the beer bottle getting broken in that guy's hand when she grabs it and just crushes it because he's going to hit his friend with the beer bottle. That was a really good. But it gets that body horror. Body horror is the only stuff that gets me. And you're just like, stop it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you can't just stab somebody in the chest or something and not show me. If you're showing me the wound and like, I don't know, maybe they're pulling intestines out and fucking around with it, or it'll fuck with me. It has to be brutal as fuck or just gnarly, like ripping somebody's fingernails off or
well, something
something with
would
the
fucking hurt.
eyes.
Like a glass bottle breaking in your hand like that, would be fucking vicious.
Yeah, that sounds fucked up for sure. It's like seeing somebody get their tongue cut off in a movie. You're like, fuck.
Now, the one thing that I wish they would have done different in this movie, and it's my only little gripe, because most of it was fine. It's like not the most amazing movie ever, but it's silly and entertaining, so I'm there for it. But this moment is when she just fucking shoots the guy. I thought she was going to fucking put the gun in his hand and force him to kill himself. Like to cover it up. I'm like, that would have been fucking dope.
What is that in? I've seen that somewhere. Where like they literally rigged up a whole thing to put it next to the guy's head. And it sounds Saw-ish, but it wasn't Saw.
Yeah, what is that? I know what you're talking about because there's a whole thing. But like, obviously, the Sims are super strong in this, so she could have just grabbed it and made him do it. So,
no, for sure, it's.
And then it uploads itself to the server. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, they get back and they're going to do diagnostics on it. Very Child's Play-esque of like, we don't know what we're doing. Let's put it back together.
Yeah.
So,
it's just dangerous. What if that robot had a short while it was trying to jerk you off and it just squeezed fully? Like, you know what I mean?
I
Or
mean,
like tugged, just a little too much.
yeah.
Or
When
what
you
if
have that kind of strength.
the robot vagina, I imagine, has like, you know, what I mean? I imagine.
Grip strength, huh?
Just like a power
Adjustable.
drill, like the end of a power drill. When you're
Adjustable grip strength. Yeah, that would be terrifying. Now that would be like the cheesy, like the fourth sequel. By the time you
Yeah.
get down the road where you just don't give a shit anymore, you're like, all right, we're gonna get real fucking weird with this movie now.
Cat's trying
Yeah.
to chew my headphone cable.
Cats always do that shit, man.
Let's see what else goes on.
Well, they have all the Sims working at the hospital too, besides that one real nurse in there that gets her ass kicked.
Yeah.
The surgery Sims are interesting because they didn't have mouths at all. And I'm like, I don't know why they wouldn't have a mouth on a surgery Sim, but okay.
I don't know. May as well just not look like a human at that point.
Yeah, that's what I was
completely
thinking.
Robot. Why not? Why? I don't know.
Yeah, that was the one head scratcher in there. I was like, okay. Overall, though, I mean, I had a good time watching it. It was just another cheesy sci-fi film, and obviously they set it up for a sequel pretty obviously.
Yeah. It'd be interesting what they would do with the sequel, but
I mean, they couldn't just do a proper sequel to this. They would have to literally just have fucking pandemonium going on with everyone's Sims losing their fucking minds and murdering people, getting jealous.
yeah, I don't know, something.
I mean, you'd almost have to go like Planet of the Apes with it, right? Have like just see it from the Sims point of view, fucking killing off people that have been abusive to them, have been treating them like shit. Once like she teaches them how to erase code from themselves, because then you can really lead it into the Terminator franchise. Because we don't know who started these things, right? So they very well could have been Skynet, right?
May as well be. It's a better Terminator sequel than
several of them for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like you see something like this, you're like, okay, there's some options there.
Yeah, I tried to watch Dark Fate after Terminator 2. And I made it about 30 minutes in before I was like, I'm turning this off.
I value my time and I respect myself.
Yeah, I'd rather watch fucking reels on Instagram, bro.
Doom scroll, man.
Sad.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like other movies in this vein. Obviously, the Child's Play reboot was basically the same story.
Yeah. I didn't finish that one either.
We briefly talked about it, but somebody was like trying to steal secrets on it, and so they basically removed the chip, the safety chip that protects it from hurting people. And then the doll just like is trying to protect its person without that chip and starts fucking killing shit. Same concept, but once you get into this like robotic AI type shit, it's all like, oh, it's gonna fucking kill us. So you really just have to be ready for it.
It's one of those things that while watching Terminator 2 today, I was like, wow, they're pretty spot on with these timelines. We might be about to destroy ourselves with all the AI shit that's going on right now. They're going to be putting AI in charge of the military. They will be at some point. And I just wonder how quickly we'll get to Terminator. Will I have the opportunity to be like a Kyle Reese type character? You know what I'm saying? Or
yeah. Like, who are you going to be? Who are you going to be in that world? Because we're not far out.
Send me back to 1984, please. I'd like to see Terminator in theaters.
Yeah. I'm not saving the world. I'm just going to travel back in time and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
Live in a less stressful, more pure time.
And then when older me will come back and kick younger me out of the time machine and get into it again. So I'll just continuously get to keep living until I die from 1984 to 2024 or whatever.
Yeah.
Just live that 40-year period.
Well, and you'll be wealthy because you'll know like all the news. Just don't make it as obvious as Biff Tannen.
Well, exactly. I'm still convinced that Donald Trump has a sports almanac somewhere because what the fuck is going on here?
Generational wealth for that asshat. Same thing with Elon. Oh, that's a terrifying future.
Yeah. It sure is. It's depressing.
What you drinking there? Best Choice Cola, huh? They've really dumbed that can down.
That's the Price Chopper brand.
Very nice.
It's all right. Does the job of a sody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what else going on? What else where
Just getting back into physical media myself, kind of dabbling back in here this year.
Yeah.
Decided to do that. My biggest concern is space danger. Like, you just don't have enough room for everything, so.
Yeah.
But I'll figure something out.
I'm the fact that the DVDs not having cases would bother me so much, but I feel it. I feel you. I have too many DVDs, and they're not even all unpacked here. I got boxes in storage still, and a box in the living room that's just full. I have boxes of VHS in storage because I can't fit it all. I got this VHS rack here and the one over there that's a whole shelf taller, and it's completely packed full this way. I can't even display the tapes like a video store would anymore. Not too much.
Hell, and I don't even have. I mean, I have under 100 VHS tapes. I don't know, maybe I'm around 50 or so.
They take up more space too.
But I laid them down, so I see the top label for them now. Because for a while I had them like too deep, stacked in over each other, and I was like, I can't fucking see what's back there. So I did this, and I made more room, and so that works pretty well for me. But it's not the best to display them. Like, they don't look cool that way.
Yeah.
Some of the tops of boxes are better than others. Some of them have the logo, some of them don't. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm obviously back into physical media in a big way in the last like 6, 7, 8 months. Part of it was my YouTube channel, just like trying to get into that, and then I was like, you know what? I've been buying VHS, and I was reviewing only VHS on my channel for the longest time, and then I started talking about some DVDs and stuff occasionally, but I didn't even have a single 4K till like a few months ago, like 5 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, my 4K collection's pretty small, and I know we've talked about this a few times, but for me, most movies don't require 4K right now. Like, most TVs aren't going to do a great job of that. And hell, if you're streaming anything from the internet, they're compressing the fuck out of the 4K. So unless you're watching the disc version,
yeah,
you're not going to see a drastic difference.
Well,
they're cool to have, though. I mean, they're, assuming that.
You can see color differences. I did a video comparing the Alien Romulus updates that they supposedly did.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, if something has 4K HDR on there, they can really notice a difference on that.
But the picture in general looked worse coming from Disney Plus. So,
yeah.
And it was a 4K streaming. I updated all the settings and all that because it's a 4K TV and it has this, the smart stream settings or whatever. I've heard other people say that streaming boxes or whatever always look better than smart TV streaming apps, but I'm like, I don't know if I care that much, but
I mean, I'm a Roku guy, and which is interesting for me because, as I use Apple products for mostly all my computing needs. But at the time, none of the fucking providers are playing nice, and Roku had the best setup for everybody.
Yeah.
And then Apple didn't let you fucking stream into your Apple catalog on there until they fucking started selling a subscription to Apple TV Plus, and at that point, it came to Roku. So I'm like, okay, see, I went the right way anyway.
Yeah.
It's an easy ecosystem. It's easy for people to use. You don't have to have any other devices. So
I still haven't got Apple TV, and I'm kind of just like, anytime I see something announced on Apple, I'm just annoyed, to be honest. I'm like, I love Apple as a company. You don't need to make TV shows. Fuck off. The thing is, they're good TV shows is what I've heard, but I don't care. I'm like, I'm not paying for another fucking service.
I've sent you invites to join my family account because I still have spots open. So
I have never seen one of those.
I've sent you at least 2. So
I don't know.
well, I'll try to send you one again
I do not recall.
because that includes iTunes, Apple TV, all that stuff.
They call it iTunes.
Not iTunes, but Apple Music.
I was like, I thought they kind of like got rid of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I still call it iTunes because I've been using it since it was iTunes.
Yeah.
I've been using it since you imported your own music solely, exclusively.
Yeah.
So
I remember that. I did that for years. I still have all the music files from that on a hard drive somewhere.
I've transferred them over to multiple external drives. It's just great because all the local band music that I have from like small local independent releases, I still have all that shit. And there's tons of people that don't, or there are tons of people trying to like find it and put it upline for streaming now that they're getting nostalgic about it. It's like, shit, I've been listening to that. Never had to stop.
Yeah. It's funny.
The other thing I've been dabbling with is dioramas. So I'm working on some cool shit right now. I'll show off one of these, but Ghostbusters containment unit that came with a Matty Collector Walter Peck figure. I'm working on a little diorama that I'm going to go to put together to have the little firehouse display.
Sick.
So yeah, just dabbling in that because I'm running out of space. I'm not super excited about buying a ton of toys. Mostly what I've got is tons of Ghostbusters, a little bit of Back to the Future, a little bit of Alf. And I just want to have better looking displays and dioramas and being able to do better pictures and shit. So for me, that's kind of what I'm into. And then I'm also going through some of the toy collection and just being like, what is not bringing me happiness to see it anymore? Like certain stuff takes up space. Some of the Ghostbuster stuff, I'm definitely going to keep all the action figures. But some of the other certain items, so you're just like, I got that because we didn't know what we were going to get. But obviously, Ghostbusters is in a pretty steady spot. So we're going to keep seeing merchandise. So the more stuff that comes out, I just have to be more calculated about what I'm buying.
Yeah, I feel you there.
And then the other crazy thing I'm thinking about is like this nostalgia bubble, especially for my generation, is about to fucking burst. Like there's just so much stuff. And like, how much do people keep buying?
Well, that's the thing is we're onto the 90s now, well into the 90s for nostalgia. Yeah. The 80s are still around because, obviously everybody loves that shit, even people who are younger. That's the thing is there's like fucking teenagers that are getting into VHS collecting and shit and like vintage nostalgia. Like, how the 70s came back in the 90s and 2000s, not just for the old people, but the young people get into that shit too. So it's like.
Well, and I'm thinking like, I've got some stuff. If I'm ever going to sell it and get anything out of it, at least what I paid into it out of it, like now's going to be the time to start selling some of it before people completely lose interest. And then it's just saturated because you think about how many people they're going to be trying to sell this in 10 or 20 years.
When people start dying.
Well, that too. I mean, fuck, man. Like I'm 40 right now. So, who's going to start buying a toy collection at 50? Right. So you got to fucking get while it's good, unless people get into that and like that becomes their thing. But there's not going to be a big market for everybody to do that. So you're going to have an insane amount of this niche stuff that's widely available or not worth much because people don't want it. Like, I think the worst thing is going to be Funko Pops.
Oh, they're going to be the literal worst. They're going to be
Funko Pops
worse
are like
than Beanie Babies.
Funko Pops are like the biggest fucking polluter of the planet because once nobody gives a shit about those anymore, they literally are just a fucking waste of plastic in the packaging and plastic themselves. And they're like some of the worst things.
Oh, yeah. They're horrible and ugh.
Like, I fucking hate Funko Pops. Everyone is starting to buy the real Ghostbusters ones.
No,
and some of the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire ones, that's the only way we got a Garaka and some other things. And I'm like,
Garaka I considered, but I still didn't even get it because it's Funko. Like, it's so ugly.
Yeah, I didn't get that one or the Ray's one where he's got the repossessed shirt on. I was just like, I don't care. These things are so fucking hideous. They don't display well. Like, I despise Funko Pops.
Yeah. I have a couple. Like, I'm keeping my Twin Peaks ones. I'll keep those because there's so little Twin Peaks merch.
See, and yeah, I can get that. But now when you look at Funko Pops, they've literally licensed every fucking brand possible and they hardly look any different. Like they've gotten better in the past 5 years about making them look more like what they're trying to be, but for a while they're all very, very, very generic. They just look like shit.
Yeah. I'll keep my Muncher from Afterlife too, because he doesn't look bad, because it's a complete different shape than a human and whatnot. But
yeah, yeah, I feel like the non-human characters look better in the Funko version,
yeah,
but for the most part, like early on when Funkos were a thing, I think I got buy one get one half off at Hot Topic when I was at the Mall of America, and so I bought a Peter Venkman and a Slimer one. Those are the only ones I ever opened or had, and I opened them. I do have an Afterlife exclusive one from Baskin Robbins, but I turned that into a Christmas tree ornament. So there's a hook in his head, hang him on the tree with the rest of shit, put it away after that.
yeah. There's I bought one that is a terror dog, and it's Lewis and Dana.
Yeah, I saw that set.
I bought that for like $13, I think, on clearance at a Walmart. And the two Twin Peaks ones I have are for like $2.60 on clearance at Target when I bought them. So I was like, $5 for two of these, I'll take them because they're Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a Doc Brown and a Marty too somewhere. But yeah, now that I have NECA and the Super 7s, I don't know if I would need those.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just going through my collection and seeing what I need, what I don't need. Because, like, if I'm storing it in my garage, that's really not doing me any good. Because, like, I don't see any time that I'm going to be able to move. So, unless I'm going to go redo my collection once or twice a year just to refresh it, which I kind of just, I change up how things look on the displays anyway. So,
yeah.
But it's just a matter of figuring out, like, what works and what doesn't.
For sure.
Oh, we got Captain America dropping this week.
I still haven't seen Hard Eyes that I want to. So I'm probably seeing that before I try to see Captain America, but we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to that one too.
Yeah. Yeah, Captain America is one of the ones I was looking forward to the most. Right now, I'm obviously invested in the Marvel stuff, but not to the level I was before Endgame.
Right.
Same thing with Star Wars, right? I love Star Wars. Skeleton Crew's been pretty good so far. And then I got back into the original trilogy with the kids because they're into that right now. So, like, they just each went out and got a ton of Legos the other day. They had some money saved up. They're like, hey, can we get some Star Wars Legos doing some army building and stuff? So, like, that's pretty cool. But fucking Legos cost so much, man. You don't get fucking much for your money.
Especially branded.
Yeah.
Lego is fucking like, you can't even, yeah. Nah, brah. That shit's ridiculous these days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, we're in a weird, obviously everything's changing constantly, and it's just weird to me that popcorn buckets are a thing now. Like at movie theaters, like we had popcorn tins for a while they were mostly like regular ass popcorn shaped buckets, but with designs for the movies on them.
Yeah.
Like, those have been coming out for years.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're getting real weird. Like, I don't know. And movie theaters are kind of dying off, and it's one of those ways that they're trying to make more money.
Mm-hmm. And it's working. Like, I do like that movie theaters have more movie merch, like even just little collectibles and shit. Like,
yeah,
give
I
them
do.
that
I
stuff.
like looking through that shit. They had the One Ring for the new Lord of the Rings, and I was like, man, I kind of want that. I'm broke right now, but if I wasn't, I'd buy the One Ring.
Yeah, but I mean, movie theaters selling merch just makes sense, right? You're going there to see the movie, get some exclusive stuff in there, get those things there. Well, shit doesn't even have to be exclusive. If you just get it there and they have it in stock,
Well,
it's
this
way
thing,
easier than going into
yeah.
Target and being like, oh, they didn't fucking stock this shit yet, or it's not out on time.
I like that they're not doing, like, some of these popcorn buckets this year have not been exclusive, like the last couple ones that came out. Like the Nosferatu one, I think you could get it more than just AMC.
Yeah. Well, a lot of places want them, and so it's like, and if you don't live near an AMC, that doesn't make sense anyway. So,
Well, it's just annoying when, like, for Ghostbusters, they were like, well, this place has this one and this one has this one. It's like, no, fuck off. Put out like one or two and put them all at the same place. I don't want to have to go to all these places looking for this shit.
Well, and even for me, like right now, like I like the Ecto one that I have for Afterlife. I'm glad I didn't get another one for Frozen Empire. Like, it looked cool, but not that great. You know what I mean? It would just be another thing sitting on the shelf that's painted slightly better, maybe.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the ghost trap one I have is pretty cool, but you put that next to a more accurate ghost trap like the Hasbro trap, and you're like, damn, that thing doesn't look like, it looks decent. It definitely looks better than some of the cheaper traps out there. But I'm just like, now that I've got the Hasbro trap, like, I don't really love this popcorn bucket sitting around, and it eats up a lot of space. So it's like when you've got limited space, like, what do you do with your collection? What kind of collection predicaments are you people out there having? You know, what's everyone facing?
Well, that's the thing. It's like I obviously for a few years there, I was collecting more than like mostly what I'm dumbed down to now is physical media.
Mm-hmm.
I can occasionally stuff to support that or decorations that are really cool, like for the room and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
the
and I'm
vibe. Yeah.
still into that, but I haven't been buying any toys, like even vintage. And I think if I buy any, they're gonna be vintage, unless they are like two complete sets that I have. Like I want the rest. I need like one NECA Back to the Future figure, the Griff I never got.
Mm.
And I have the Gremlins. I'm not going to get rid of those. But like, I'm not starting any new collections for toys. I have the Independence Day stuff. I'm keeping that for obvious reasons. We had those as kids, so that's just too cool.
Yeah.
And they're not worth enough to sell at this point. That's why I was able to get so many of them because they were cheap.
Well, and I sold off my entire Shadows of the Empire collection.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't anywhere I could display it. It wasn't bringing me joy. Like, it was really cool, and I got it. It was very nostalgic for a moment in time, but like, I've read the book, read the comics, know the story, played the game, had the toys for a while. They're cool, but like, just didn't need the whole collection sitting around.
That's I think other than physical media, that's the only Star Wars stuff I'm gonna keep.
Yeah, like, I
And
just
I
haven't
have my
got into
original
that.
figures from a childhood, but
Well, there's so much out there now. Like, I can't imagine being a Ninja Turtles collector in this day and age because there's so much, like, so many different lines.
that's the thing. They've re-released the same damn action figures so many times, and I've almost bought them every time they do it, but I never do because I'm like, eh.
I just don't have room for another collection, and I love the turtles. You know, I wouldn't mind having like a set of the 4 turtles and some villains, but I'm like, once you go down that rabbit hole,
Here's a
don't have the space
realization
for it.
that I've come to recently while reviewing the first Ninja Turtles on VHS was really this movie's all I need. This movie is almost perfect. It is a 5 out of 5. It is maybe in my top 10, 15, 20, I don't know, somewhere in there for sure. But I don't need to see the cartoon series. I don't even need to see Secret of Ooze. I probably will see Secret of Ooze sometimes, but like really, that's all I need. I don't need shit other than that one movie.
They nailed that one out of the park, right? That first one was so good. The second one, there's things I really don't like about it, but as a kid, I liked it a lot more than I do as an adult. As an
Yeah.
adult, I'm like, okay, this is really fucking campy. It's like Ghostbusters 2. And I mean that in the best of ways, right?
Yeah.
Where the first one comes out and does its thing. TMNT's kind of dark, kind of scary. Oh, you're scaring kids with that. It's based off a cartoon and a comic book. I'm like, you realize you're talking about a very violent comic book that this shit's based off of, but okay.
Yeah.
Same thing with Ghostbusters, basically adult humor in there, and like they strip most of that away for the second one. There's still hints of it there, and so as a kid, you have these nostalgic ties to it, but it's not the same vibe as the original. And so, yeah, I'll watch the sequels. I won't watch Turtles 3 though. I just don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't need it anymore either.
The animated Turtles movie that came after 3 was halfway decent. I enjoyed seeing that in theaters.
I
Michael
saw it in
Bay
theaters
stuff.
as well. I haven't seen that one in so long. I do have it on DVD, but
The Michael Bay stuff I fucking hated. Did not care for how any of the stories played out. Didn't care
I
for
didn't
any of the
even
designs.
I
Fucking
didn't see the
terrible.
first one. I saw the second one just because I knew like the Technodrome and all this cool shit was going to be in it. But Ewok and Rocksteady, like
The last movie that came out was entertaining. Like, I had fun with that, but obviously that's geared towards kids. So, you know,
that one, yeah.
I haven't
Well,
been watching.
I meant the second one in the Michael Bay series is what I was talking about. But yeah,
No.
I didn't even see the new Seth Rogen one because again, I'm like, we're doing it again? I don't know.
Well, that is one thing where I feel like Turtles has been rebooted. Power Rangers has been kind of rebooted. You know, they're still toying with that. Like, Hasbro bought that whole brand out, fucked it all up. Now they're selling that brand off to like other toy makers and everything right now. The toy industry alone's in turmoil. The movie industry's in turmoil.
Yeah, the toy industry is run by adult men at this point, 100%. I feel like
Yeah. I mean,
like
my kids have toys, but they're not like, oh, I want those. Like the kids like the Legos and other shit like that. Like Nate got the Ghostbuster stuff out the other day and played with a ton of it for a while, and that was about it. Like that was the first time he's got that bin out in a minute. But that was because I was doing photos and stuff, and he got out and played with that. But then he wanted to play Star Wars Legos, so it was like, okay,
yeah.
I get it, man. Like people want more engaging toys, and like without cool play sets, I feel like that's a huge thing that toys don't do anymore is have good play sets. Like that is half of your imagination building is having a good play set for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, when every time I see a cool playset these days, it's something that I feel like is for adult collectors.
Yeah, usually it's a display piece, right?
Like all that Jurassic Park stuff that's been coming out the last couple of years, all of
Hmm.
it, all the giant dinosaurs, the vehicles.
Well, yeah, and that was a whole other line that I sold off too. It was the Amber collection, right? Because those are 7-inch figures, and then they didn't really
Mhm.
fucking do shit with it. They got a handful of characters out from the first movie, and they didn't do it in any kind of order. They did a couple of legacy characters. They did some Jurassic World characters, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, scrap that. We're gonna do the Hammond collection where we actually give paint jobs that don't look like complete ass on these little figures. Same
I
fucking
have
molds
the
for the most part."
I have the ass job paint ones, and I'm gonna hang on to them. They're good enough for me.
Yeah, I have those too because Nate likes dinosaurs and like he's played with those a ton, and so yeah, he can play with those. You know.
I've got a fuck ton of dinosaurs from that collection. Actually, I have I got more than one T-Rex because that car came with one, and then I found the spare car at the
Uh huh.
Goodwill for like $3 from that same set. So I got two of those Jeeps for the tour, which is awesome. But
Nice. Yeah, but it's just so weird because you're like, okay, here's the collection. We did 7-inch scale and canceled that. Now we're doing small stuff. Okay.
bite me.
Because the problem was with the 7-inch scale, they never would have been able to sell a T Rex to that size, right? A T Rex that, and even some of the larger dinosaurs they're selling are still $80 to $100. So,
Yeah.
like, are you buying those for kids? Like, I can't imagine they're buying kids those, but you never know.
Yeah, my Brachiosaurus is in storage just because he's so fucking big.
Yeah.
I think all my dinosaurs are actually in storage. All the Jurassic Park collection is just because it's one of those things.
Yeah, for me, it's like, okay, where do you fit your collection? Where do you keep it at? I've got all my Alf collection here, and I've got most of my magazines and stuff in there, obviously
Yeah.
minus the comic books, but
I got all the Alf stuff in one detolf behind me, and then over there, Twin Peaks has a cubby, Lost Boys has a cubby, Twister has a cubby, and then Ghostbusters at the bottom. But it's literally just Ghostbusters physical media, all the DVDs, VHS, CDs,
yeah.
cassettes.
Yeah, my physical media is in 3 spots. I got VHS on one shelf downstairs. I've got books, and then on top of that bookcase, I've got CDs and most of my Ghostbusters collection. But up here, I've got all the 4K stuff and box sets. So it's just everywhere.
Yeah. I need to have one of those rooms that just has nothing but shelves on like a goddamn library, but for movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hell, I'm sure I could put my books in there too. TV guides, Fangoria.
Yeah. And I collect a fair amount of regular books too. So it's just like, goddamn.
Yeah.
When you collect a little bit of everything, man, you run out of space and you're like, this is a fucking episode of Hoarders now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I collect fucking old soda cans and shit. You don't even
Mhm.
know what that's like. That's ridiculous. Glass bottles too, and like actual vintage soda cans. I got soda cans from the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
And
That's just
like
too
just
much, man.
trash wrappers of McDonald's cookies from 2000 and like old food in general is just a hilarious thing that I like to collect. And old food
Well,
boxes
see,
and
that
stuff.
shit. That shit would be really cool if you had a prop house to rent for movies because like someone's like, hey, we're doing a movie from 2000, so we need all this stuff.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I've debated being one of those, trying to do that at one point, be like one of the, I don't know, it's not set director, but set design, I guess, technically, where you're doing like that, basically
Yeah.
going to antique stores and picking out period related stuff. And since I have so much at this point, like I got fucking TVs, VCRs, phones, clocks,
Yeah, and there's
toys.
whole collections of that stuff, right? So
Yeah. So I don't
But-
think I'll ever stop collecting some of that stuff. It'll just be like I haven't bought a empty soda can in over a year. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
at some point there will for sure pop up one where I'm like, oh, I want to buy that. Like Pepsi Blue is on my eBay watch list
Okay. Yeah.
because it's expensive and you can never find them. Either a bottle or a can I'd be happy with, but
Yeah, and I got the other day I just got the micro cassette recorder that Dale Cooper uses in the first episode of Twin Peaks. So I think you said that changes throughout the seasons, season 1 and season 2, but I got the first one he uses, the first one you see on screen. So
yeah, they just used some different ones. I read like somebody has like a whole article written about all of them because at one point I was trying to figure out to buy one, but I did come across just a random one. Like it's not one that he used
they're
in the show, but I do
super
have
cheap.
one.
A lot of them don't work anymore, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't really care. I just kind of want this on display, like as your movie prop stuff. Like, hey, here's TV and movie show props.
Yeah.
So, all right, man, my fucking voice is shot. So let's wrap this thing up, and we'll be back at it next week. We may talk Captain America if you get a chance to see it. I'm gonna try and check it out.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you did, if not, we'll see you back here next week. And thanks for checking it out. Have a good one.
Good night, everybody.